Hello again, YouTube. This is a video log about my car, the 1980 Chevrolet Malibu. Uh, yeah, I've had some issues with the transmission, and I'll get into that in a little bit of detail. So, so hang tight. Uh, there was a video log I did some time back about my car, my actual car that I drive, my blue Malibu, 1980 Chevrolet Malibu. This is like a part. I'll just add this into this video, but basically, I would have made a video log, but it would have been really short. The in the video where I was doing, I put seafoam in the transmission because I said it was kind of shifting weird. It's like you'd almost you wouldn't completely stop, but like you were taking a turn at a you taking a turn at an intersection, and instead of doing a complete stop, it's like it's one of those you don't have to stop if there's no traffic coming, and you can go ahead and turn. And it's like it would just upshift, downshift, upshift, downshift, upshift. Down. It would do like 2 or 3 different times. And then I put seafoam in it, and then I did a test drive, and I said it was doing okay, doing good. Well, here's an update to that video log that I'm adding on to this. As of maybe a little bit between Christmas and New Year's, last year, what ended up happening was one day I was going to work and the transmission started slipping like it was low on fluid. Although it wasn't low, it was full. And when I got off work that one night and I was coming home and the transmission was slipping more and more as I got closer to my house. And it got so bad that it was slipping so bad that the car was barely moving. Every time I hit the gas, it just barely would go. It's like it was only doing like 5 miles an hour, even though you were hitting the gas, and it was just slipping so bad that it would just barely move. It wouldn't even hardly go. And it acted like it didn't have no fluid, but it was full. It wasn't empty. I did manage to make it home. I didn't have to have it towed home or anything like that. But then the next day, I thought, well, I'll check the transmission fluid, and I thought, well, maybe it might be a little low, so I added, a half a quart transmission fluid, and I checked the dipstick, and it was on the full mark. Okay, well, I got in the car, I was going to go to work. Of course, I didn't test drive the car, to see if there was anything wrong, and I should have done that first before trying to drive the car to work. Well, I was driving to work. I didn't even make it a half a mile down the road from here. And as I got to a stop sign, when I hit the gas pedal, it wouldn't move. I mean, when the engine was cold and it was still a little warm, when it was still warming up, the transmission was cold. So I was able to pull out of the driveway and drive down the road to the next intersection, went up another road, and it was doing fine. And I went through another intersection and took a left and went down to that road. And by the time I got to the stop sign, the car quit moving. I hit the gas pedal and it wouldn't move. It just sat there and just wouldn't go. And it didn't matter what gear I put it in. If I put it in reverse, neutral, drive, low one, low two, it wouldn't move at all. You hit the gas pedal and it just rev up. It acted like it didn't have no fluid in it, but it was full. So luckily it was a little bit of a downhill, just a little tiny bit of a decline, so I was able to coast a little bit. And there was a parking lot right next to the road, so I was able to pull off the road partially right there. And luckily for me, I had a coworker pull up beside of me and ask me if I needed help. And he just happened to pull up just as I was having trouble, and I had my blinkers on and everything. I said, "Yeah, I need to get the car out of the road." So luckily, it was him and 3 other guys that I work with were in the car, and they asked me if I needed help, and I said yes. They all got out of the car. They pulled off to the side, and I told them I need to pull off to just right there in the parking lot right there so I can get the car off the street. So they helped me push it, and once I got it off the road, and I parked it out of the way of that building that's on that parking lot, so it wouldn't be blocking anybody or anything like that. And I parked it right there, and I turned it off. It didn't matter what gear I put it in; it wouldn't move when it was up at operating temperature. So luckily I got a ride to work that day. I wasn't late. Luckily I had coworkers that just showed up at the right time. I got lucky. So Um,
I'm reminding you. Nighttime modes.
right, she's talking again. Okay. Um,
I'm reminding you. Nighttime modes.
anyway, as I was when I got off work, I had another friend take me to my car. Basically, I was telling him that he may have to help me pull my car to the, if he would help me as we got off work. We had to do 10 hours that night. And after we got off work, he took me over to where I left my car at. And I told him, I said, it probably won't move, but if it will move when it's cold, he told me basically if the car is cold, if you can actually get it to move, he said don't stop. And luckily, I didn't live very far from where I parked, where I left my car at. So luckily, I got in the car and started it. And of course, it's cold nature, it's carbureted, so it start and die a couple times. Finally, I got it running enough to where I could get it to, go. And I put it in reverse, it started moving. I put it in drive, and it took off. And it's like, well, I told him, I said, as soon as I get it going, I'm not stopping. And I drove down the road, and I came up the road, and as I was getting closer to my driveway, it started slipping again a little bit. So I hurried up and I got it in the driveway, and I stopped and I parked it. As soon as I got it in the driveway, it wasn't going to move no more. It didn't move again. And I turned it off, put it in park and turned it off. And then I thanked my friend for giving me a lift and everything. And I ended up calling a shop, a transmission shop. And I told them what happened. I told them I wanted the transmission rebuilt, completely rebuilt. And I told them what it was doing. And they said they would have to test it. They'd do a test drive to figure out what's going on with it and everything. So anyway, without making this a really long story, I'm just going to cut it short, okay? Um, anyway, the transmission shop fixed it, and it took them about a week. They had to order parts for it. It's got a turbo 350 transmission, a TH 350 transmission with a shift kit in it, and it has a stock torque converter on it. It don't have a stall on it, a stall converter. It has a regular stock torque converter. Okay, when the transmission shop got done with it, and they told me I had a broke transmission mount. They replaced it, and it was only like $30. They said my flywheel had a crack in it. Okay, so they gave me a new flywheel. I can't remember what it didn't cost very much for a flywheel, but they put a new one on it. They rebuilt my torque converter. They completely rebuilt the transmission. And I went to go pick. I had to have my neighbor pick me up and take me up like really early, right before I had to go to work, like 2 or 3 hours before I had to go to work. And we went to the transmission shop to pick up my car. Sorry for that. I don't like seeing that. But anyway, I had a friend or a neighbor take me up to a transmission shop to pick my car up when it got ready. After I went to go get it, and I paid for it, and it was like $1,539. Now, considering that a brand new transmission for my car will cost me about $2,200, $1,500 is not that bad. To completely rebuild it, give me a new flywheel, rebuild the torque converter, change that transmission mount, all that, and put all that back on. And I thought it was a decent deal. It's not bad. So there's a little bit more to the story. Okay, towards the when I got in the car and I started it, it started up good and everything, and I drove it from the shop. Now my friend that dropped me off, he already went home. He left, so I'm driving my car back home. Okay, I was driving home, and I noticed it tried to slip a little bit. I was like, well, maybe it just needs a little fluid in it, and I'll put some in it when I get back to the house. I get back home. I thought maybe, it's got a deeper transmission pan in it, a fill pan, a deeper pan in it because it's got an aftermarket pan with a drain plug in it. I thought maybe they just need to put another half a quart in it or something, but that's what I was thinking at that time. As I was getting closer to my home, it started slipping more. like we might have had a leak or something. As I got closer to the house, it started slipping more and more. When I was getting about less than a mile away from my house, it was slipping so bad I couldn't even get into second gear. It's an automatic, so it didn't even get into second gear. It was slipping so bad. And it's like, as soon as I get home, I got to call the transmission shop. So I made it up another road, and I couldn't even get over 3 miles an hour. I got on my road and made it about halfway down, and it started coasting down the road, and I couldn't get it to go over 2 miles an hour. I hit the gas and it just rev up. It was doing the same thing it did before. It just didn't, it acted like it didn't have no fluid in the transmission. And I hit the gas and it would just rev. It wouldn't even move. It was moving barely, but luckily it was a little bit of a decline going down to my driveway. And I made it over the little bit of a hill, and it finally started coasting. I couldn't get it to move no more. It stopped right there, and it started rolling down the hill, and I finally got it to coast into the driveway. As soon as I got it in the driveway and I stopped, I started putting it in different gears to see what would happen. It wouldn't do nothing. It was doing the same thing it did before. Like, well, something ain't right. I turned the car off, and then the first thing I noticed, it was a little hard to turn the key off. Like it was hitting something, like with the gear shift or something. So I pulled up on the lever put it in park, and then I turned the key, and then I turned off my car. I raised the hood on the car. I checked the transmission. You got to start the car. You got to have it running while you're checking the transmission. So I went in the house and grabbed the jug of transmission fluid. I only had like 2 quarts in it. I come back out to the car. I popped I have the hood raised up, and I turned the car back on. I started, and I checked the dipstick, and it was dry. It didn't have a drop of oil. It didn't have a drop of transmission fluid on it. While it was running, I put a funnel on it, and I poured 2 quarts of transmission fluid down it while it was running. And then I put the dipstick back in, and I checked it again. There was not 1 drop of fluid on the dipstick. I tried to get the car to change gears. I switched it from reverse, park, neutral, drive. It wouldn't move. It wouldn't do nothing. I shut it back off. I put everything back up. I go in the house. I called the transmission shop. I said, guess what just happened to me? I said, on the way home, I said, the transmission stopped. It started doing it again. It's not shifting. And he said, are you serious? I said, yeah. I said, it's not shifting. And then I told him, I said, I checked the fluid, and I said, there's not a drop of fluid on it. He said, well, we're going to have it towed back. We're going to tow it back in. He was going to tow it in that afternoon. I told him I had to work. And he said, well, leave your keys in the car. And I told him I'd put them under the floor mat on the driver's side, and then they can come and pick it up at the next morning. They would send a tow truck to pick up my car and take it back to the shop, so they can figure out why it was leaking. Okay, I was sleeping. They came out and got the car, took it to the transmission shop, or towed it back up there. And I think I had to wait about a week before I heard anything from them. What ended up happening was the transmission guy that was going to work on it, he got sick for about a week, so he couldn't work on my car. So when he got better, he started working on my car, and then he calls me back and says, your car's ready to be picked up. I asked him what was wrong with it, and he said the governor on the side of the transmission was not tight. What ended up happening was the governor was loose enough, just barely loose. It didn't fall off. It was still on the transmission. It was loose enough to squirt fluid out on the ground. Every time I drove, it was squirting or pumping fluid out of it. When I stopped at a stoplight, it didn't leak or do anything while I was sitting still. But as soon as I would hit the gas and go, it would squirt on the ground all the way home, and it emptied itself before I got to the house. That's what happened there. This ain't the end of the story, though. Okay, about 3 or 4 days ago, I drove my car to work. Or I got up and I was going to drive. It was a nice day. And there was no snow or anything like that in the forecast or nothing. It was going to be in the 50s, almost 60 something at the daytime. And then for low, it was like about 45 or something. That was like 2 or 3 days ago. I got in the car and I discovered two issues with the transmission. The good news was it wasn't leaking. Okay, no more leaks. Okay. I got in the car to start it, and as soon as it started backing up. What ended up happening is that as soon as I turned the key in the on position, the gear shift actually jumped down into reverse by itself. Like, it ain't supposed to do that. I pulled the gear shift back up. The gear shift's on the column. So I put it back up in the park and act like it didn't want to stay in park. As soon as I let go of it, while the car was idling, if I hadn't had my foot on the brake, it would have went in reverse. It actually jumped back down in reverse while the car was idling and warming up, and it started backing up again. I was like, no. I had my foot on the brake and I pushed it back up in park. And it's not really staying in park. As soon as I let go of the lever, it jumps back down in reverse. So it needs an adjustment on there. And I thought, well, if that's the only thing that's wrong with it, we can have it adjusted. There ain't no big deal on that. But I'll have to take it back to the shop and have them readjusted. Okay, so the next little issue came up when I was driving to work. As I got to work, or should I say when I was driving to work, I decided to hit the gas a little hard to see if it would get up and go. I don't have a passing gear now. I don't know if it's because the car was cold or what, but as soon as I would hit the gas, it would just go. But it was going as if you were just doing a normal drive. It's like there was no passing gear. I'm like, well, something ain't right. Maybe they forgot to hook something up. That's what I was thinking. So I went ahead and went to work in it. And I got to work. And then after I got off work, I thought, well, I'm going to try it again. I'm going to try to see if I can get the passing gear to kick in. Maybe it just needs to be, maybe I need to be a little bit rough with it and hit the gas a little harder. Well, I got on it a couple times and it would not kick in. The passing gear is not kicking in. And it's like, okay, well, something ain't hooked up, or they forgot to hook up the passing gear cable, to make it go. Like to get up and go kind of thing. Usually before I took the car to the transmission shop, if you would hit the gas pedal a little bit, it'd go. But if you really wanted to kick it in, you punch it hard and it would pin you to the seat and go. Okay, it's not doing that no more. You hit the gas, it just kind of goes. It's just like if you're driving normal. It's like, it's not supposed to do that. It's supposed to, you hit the gas hard, it's supposed to open up all four barrels and take off like a rocket, right? It ain't doing that no more. So that's two issues I got with the transmission right now. When the weather clears up or gets a little warmer, I've already called them and I told them whenever I get a chance to, when it's warmer, I will bring it back up there to let them look at it. First, they got to adjust the transmission so the shifter will stay in park. And then they got to figure out why I don't have a passing gear. So, yeah. I can drive the car. It just won't get up and go anymore. It'll just drive, but there's no passing gear, and it won't stay in park. When you put it in park, it jumps back down to reverse. So, until I get that fixed, I probably won't be driving my car for a little while. So, I'm stuck driving my wife's car. She got a little V6. Not as much power as my car's got, but my car right now, until I get it fixed, I can't drive it. And the weather, when it's cold, like down in the teens and 20s, I can't drive my car anyway. It doesn't get good traction when it's slick. So anyway, I thought I want to pass that on to y'all to give you an update about that video log I did some time back. But I wasn't expecting to really put it in this video, but excuse me, I may end up putting it in this. I may end up cutting it off at the end of this, and I might end up cutting it on the end of this and then actually putting it on its own separate video. So I might separate this section from the other one. If I keep it together, it's going to be over an hour long on the video for the model build, and then adding on this little section. So I might do this in editing. I might edit and separate the two parts so it's a video log and the model car build, right? So yeah. Anyway, uh, thumbs up if you like the video. If you want to subscribe, it will help me out a lot. And if you hit the notification bell, it will let you know when I put out a new video. It will also let YouTube know that you like these type of videos, and it will, you know, it'll, whatever it does on the algorithm kind of thing. So, I appreciate you watching and listening to my thoughts, and, yeah, we'll just, we'll go with that. Okay, so, until next time, I'll see you when I can. I'll get another video out as soon as whenever I can get some more content. So, anyway, hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching. Bye. Oh, be safe out there. Especially with COVID around, just do whatever you need to do to keep from catching it. If you haven't got vaccinated, get vaccinated. Kind of thing, or get booster shots or whatever. But, do what you can to stay safe, okay? And I appreciate you for watching. Thank you. Bye.